Correspondence. Everyone received the correspondence? Anyone have any questions? Comments from the assembly. I have two people that signed in to speak. And Julie?
That's me. I actually didn't realize I was signing to speak. I thought it was an attendance record. I'm here just to listen to the testimony or the presentation from Bergstone. I may have questions, I'm not sure if that's what it's doing.
And Patty?
I prefer to wait until that is, spoken about on your agenda.
Well, right now, the way we changed the agenda, everyone's gonna speak in the beginning unless we're voting on something. Then you'll have to
So I
speak
so I
before
won't
the
be able to
vote.
speak then,
So, since we're gonna be voting on.
We can barely hear you back here.
Okay, all right, so we'll hold it till we get to that section. Yes, yes, okay. Yes,
I didn't see the sheet.
the sign-in sheet,
No, I didn't see it.
the one that was out front?
No, I didn't. So I didn't sign up, and I have, a comment, in reference to the resolutions that were passed the last meeting. Those resolutions weren't available in the packet for public review. So, when I asked about it before, you voted on it, I wasn't able to look at it. In reviewing it, the resolution 2021-25, it should be the Sunshine Act, not Open Meetings Act. Basically, in discussing with Open Records Office, as a resident, I have a right to record. There's no really, any reason I really have to sign in and to let you know that I am recording. They said typically, the only time that, somebody's forced in the back of the room is because it's a TV station and with lights. Yes, I shouldn't be somewhere that I'm gonna make somebody trip. Besides that, there's no reason where I was sitting would have not been a problem. Also, back again, open meeting laws referenced again. On the other one, it basically is saying that, we need to be, for public comment, we need to sign in, which I did not see that sheet. And also, just to make it know, when you are voting on something, we would like to make a comment on it. So I would like, if when you do vote on stuff, ask for public comment. If not, by law, I can do an objection per the Sunshine Act. So I may ask you guys to review these two resolutions. There's also some typographic errors around on them as well, and revisit them, and let us have a chance to look at them before you approve them. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting, May 11th.
No one has any comments, but we're going to make a motion.
Motion is second, all those in favor? Aye. May 25th.
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor? Aye. Treasurer's report.
March was the invoice from the audit and the money for the $1,000 check for the deposit and the $500 deposit check that was requested at the end of May. But it was only those two. I'm sorry, I don't have the names in front of me. Those three invoices.
For Mark AM.
Yeah, one for Marshall Dodge, which was $2,350, and then $1,500 was for entertainment for the carnival. But I also did show the income that came in so far. Did you see that on the revenue side?
I did not see that in the revenue.
There's a section from the fund, just the number three, 367.17 shows we've taken in 4,600 so far in the month of May for carnival revenue for you this year.
367.
17.
Is there any way we have a speaker? Because I cannot hear you guys at all.
We do have a big crowd, so.
Yeah, it's very hard to hear you.
A little more.
And you have me so far back, it really defeats my purpose of recording.
That's the intent.
Yes, we're good.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you
Yeah.
said that. So really you have that money there and the other money.
All right, if nobody has any questions, or Jeffrey, you don't have anything to add, I make a motion to accept the treasurer. I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Expense list.
Nobody has any questions or comments, make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Sandy, sorry, who seconded?
Jeff. South Street subdivision, reaffirm plan approval.
I don't know if anybody from South Street is here. See them very briefly. The law requires that plans get recorded within 90 days of approval. In this case, you approved the plan March 10th of 2020, so it's been longer than 90 days. And so for them to be able to record the plan with the recorder's office, they require a reaffirmation vote. Then they'll have 90 more days to file. So there's no change from the original plan approval. You're simply reaffirming it because it's taken this long for the developer to get all of its financing and conditions satisfied.
Point of clarification, what project is this?
Do you want to
South Street, I mean,
It's a South Street subdivision. It was just a one-lot subdivision where they're gonna build a second, home on the new, there's one home on the existing lot, they're gonna build another home on the new lot they subdivided off.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we can't hear first and seconds.
motion and a second, all those in favor?
Sandy, I'm
Yes.
sorry, Michelle was talking, who seconded?
Jeff. Or no, Alan did on that one, it was Jeff and Alan.
Maybe you could say first and their names so we can clarify, because we can't hear.
Apartments on Main.
This is the same deal. You approved this March 23rd, 2021. So the 90 days period for them to record the plan is about to expire. And so this is just a reaffirmation. It does not make a change. This is Morgantown Apartments. It's now known as Apartments on Main. I don't know if anybody here from Apartments on Main. I don't see anyone. So this is just a reaffirmation, but
Have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. sidewalk and stormwater.
There's even more than that. These are all signed by the developer. They were circulated some time ago, and they came in last week, Joe, was it? So the developer has signed your standard development agreement. No changes at all were made to it from the form that you prefer. Financial security agreement was signed. That would produce a letter of credit to secure the required improvements. Again, they offered no changes to your standard form agreement. Sidewalk and curbing deferral agreement, they've signed that. The PennDOT right-of-way stormwater management facilities operations and maintenance agreement, they've signed that. And then they've also signed the stormwater management agreement and declaration of easement. So there is 5 agreements ready for your approval, and they made no changes or made no request to change any part of your standard forms.
Now, have we added escrow for stormwater when it comes to basins?
I think their numbers were in before we discussed that, so we didn't make any revisions from, to my knowledge, there wasn't any revisions from what they previously had approved.
Correct. The one deposit they're making that is unusual would be a $35,000 payment in lieu of sidewalks along the frontage of State Route 23 for the township's future use. And that's memorialized in the PennDOT right-of-way agreement.
Well, I know this conversation took place before we got to this apartments here. When are we gonna start adding an escrow to the stormwater?
I don't know that there isn't one. Eric, do you know?
I thought we did that.
We talked about it, but I don't think anything's ever been done. We have all these developments coming in, but we're not doing anything, and we have a lot of maintenance. Our road has a lot of maintenance for many years to come, and the escrow is to cover those costs of you guys going out and inspecting it.
Yeah, I didn't see what came back in, I assumed it was the same as it was before, and I don't know if they had funds. You're talking funds for the future inspection.
Yeah, we talked about having to, we did a so many year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, just to put enough money in there to cover your expenses to go out and take a look at it. Because I don't think taxpayers should have to pay for those people.
I thought we did that.
I thought we did too.
Paul, the stormwater management agreement has an escrow in it.
But why aren't we adding the escrow to these?
Okay, I'm not sure what escrow you're adding there, but the stormwater management agreement has an escrow in it for maintenance.
But after the fact, after you give them their permit, everything's done deal, I'm talking 5-10 years, and we gotta go back out and inspect it, there's money in there to
Yes.
cover that cost.
Yes,
So that's part of this escrow as well.
that's part of the stormwater management agreement, yes.
Okay. I know we did, but every time I ask about it, nobody gives me an answer.
What we can do, Paul, if you want to satisfy that issue, is make sure that it's on the agenda of the next meeting. And if there isn't an escrow schedule, maybe Great Valley can put one together. If there is one, then it'll be an opportunity for Great Valley just to remind us of what that is. And if there's any further votes of the board required to implement that schedule escrow, we can do that at the next meeting. If you'd like to withhold the stormwater agreement on apartments on Main to make sure that we have that amount, whatever it is, incorporated, then that would be one agreement that you might want to table, and we can revisit in 2 weeks.
I just don't want us to be called for the expense.
Sidewalk, and then hold up on the stormwater until we get a chance to look into it.
I would feel more comfortable so we know we're covered.
So, we need to do these individually, the financial development, and then one for the sidewalk.
If the stormwater is what you want to pull off, you can vote on everything else collectively.
Okay. So, is there a motion for the financial development and sidewalk?
I'll do that for the stormwater being put on hold.
Have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye.
And then there's another one, the PennDOT right-of-way agreement, that should be voted on as well. I don't know that's listed on your agenda, but that's required here. What you're doing with this PennDOT right-of-way agreement is shifting the burden of maintenance of any stormwater within the PennDOT right-of-way onto the developer. If this doesn't exist, then PennDOT looks to you, the township, to maintain stormwater facilities within the right-of-way. So it is shifting everything to the developer, so there's no cost to you. maintenance endowment call to speak to that for the PennDOT agreement, and the facilities within the PennDOT right of way is $5,000. And then they need to replenish that $5,000 within 30 days if it dips below that. And so that's addressed in this agreement.
Need a motion for that?
Yes.
We'll make that motion.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. Zoning hearing board application for Twin Valley Coffee, June 24th.
That one is, they have, some of their access drives in the one pavilion are relocated to Vivo or within the setbacks for building, and that's what they're coming in that waiver for that. Going here.
Okay, so for now, that's just information for us. Kidjoy Testing Lab, LVP decision. What? So what do you wanna do, we have them here, I guess?
What's LDP? Okay, just most people probably don't know what that means.
Okay. You wanna ask any questions?
Well, no, I mean, a lot of the problems that we're faced with, the supervisors, that we're the last ones to know. I literally got these plans today, and we're faced with a situation where we have to make a vote. So, I mean, I know you guys have been before the planning commission, but I didn't even know these plans existed until we came into this meeting tonight. So, they're start talking about all this stuff, and I have no idea what they're talking about, so maybe you can run it through.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest, I don't know why you didn't get it, but, quickly. So, I'm Aristides Otero, I'm with Stackhouse Fensinger, civil engineering, landscape architect, surveyors. Here with us tonight are representatives from Kidjoy, a longstanding township organization, and they are looking at Lot 5 and the Heritage Drive Corporate Center, or I think it's CF Farms, I think was the original subdivision of this. The property they're looking at developing is east of the shopping center, south of Taco Bell. Taco Bell sits here, there's a vacant lot, lot number 4 from that subdivision, and then lot 5 here. Twin Valley Road runs to the east a little further here. Kidjoy is looking at constructing a building that will allow them to test car seats, their products in-house rather than traveling the country to do these things. In a roughly 22,000 or 23,000 square foot footprint. There won't be a second floor, but some office space in it. The project indicates 2 access points. One down here is essentially for emergency vehicles so that we have 360-degree access around the property, as well as a very few, I think what we, maybe 6 trucks per year that would come in, deliver products for testing, or remove products that have been tested, if I'm correct. So we have all of that. Part of this particular property, there's an existing detention basin which resides on lot 5. That serves a portion of the shopping center as well as our site here. Stormwater wise, we do have an underground infiltration basin here, although it's a little larger because we do have some limestone conditions, so that has to be spread out. Otherwise, it ends up into this basin. So, pretty good generalization of what we're doing. Yeah. Okay.
So what's the driveway issue?
Aristides, can you address the driveway concern raised by the county and what your position is on that?
Sure. When we had, I think presented maybe to the Plan Commission a month ago, it was brought up that Our access point on the, I'll call it the northern access point onto Heritage Drive is about 90 feet south of an access to the shopping center. On Heritage Drive, there is a painted left turn lane to turn into the shopping center. Our drive comes in basically at that left turn. So I think the county was concerned that we had potential for traffic conflict. However, I believe that left turn lane anticipated a much higher traffic count associated with the shopping center as what is actually out there today. So you're not gonna have the type of conflicts or the frequency of any kind of conflict associated with a limited vehicular traffic associated with our project and a very limited amount of traffic making that left turn into the shopping center. Everything is really low count, and I think when we had talked with the township, the planning commission meeting at least seemed to concur, yeah, that left turn lane was probably a result of a higher traffic count as part of that shopping center.
And the concerns are, is your drive is coming right into that turn.
Correct. I think.
I'm not sure why they'd be concerned, because if you look at my office, they put a turning lane and they put it was okay for them to do that to my driveway on a busy road on 23, but yet they want to go to a back road like this, to be concerned about it.
Yeah. So I think one of the comments that raised or potential suggestions was sharing with the Lot 4 development, which is, I guess, just been submitted or whatever. They're looking at sharing an access with Taco Bell further north. Any kind of shared access with Lot 4 would impede their ability to develop their property, because we're now onto their land for something they don't need, so, at this point, we're hoping we can keep it the way it is. Perhaps some line restriping if that left turn lane really isn't necessary.
Is this a new business, and how many people will they employ if it is? I've never heard of this company.
Okay, so there's, Kidjoy Buildings on Thousand Boulevard. There's two companies in there. Iron Mountains is a design and engineering company. We develop most of the car seats that you go into Target and see car seats under the Graco brand, pretty much maintained from our building.
And,
So we've been there we've been in business for 20 years.
okay, so this would be the potential for some job openings here in this area then, or is it a small staff that does this?
It's a small staff.
Small staff, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for explaining that to me, definitely. I just don't wanna vote on anything that I'm blind about, so it's just explained to me, so that definitely helps out.
Completely understand.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the development plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Brooks Home draft text amendment revision.
Will
Yes.
we be in touch as far as the actual conditions exclusive of that county comment?
Yes, you'll get a written decision that the supervisors have in front of them.
Great.
It
And
will
then,
not include that condition that you relocate the driveway.
excellent. I appreciate that. And any standard agreements or those available online, I can get those for you.
We will forward them to you within a few days.
Perfect. Thank you, though.
Okay, Brooks Home has draft.
Good evening, my name is Bill Colby, I'm the attorney for Burke's Homes. I'm just gonna pass out what is the proposed ordinance. It is substantially similar to what the planning commission reviewed last month. Back in November, we met with this board, presented a concept plan, and asked this board to consider a text amendment for a residential overlay in the IOP district. at that Board of Supervisors meeting, it was suggested to us that we should go back to the planning commission, or meet with the planning commission, discuss our concept plan and our proposed ordinance. We met with the planning commission 4 times, we met with your consultants once. And over that period of time, we've developed what we think is a solid ordinance. It's based on your PRD ordinance. It has some specific provisions that would relate directly to this residential overlay in an IOP. What I'd like to do now is show you the first concept plan that we presented to this board and what the plan is now that we're proposing, so that you can see the difference. There's significant differences between the plans. Those differences are based on our discussions with the planning commission and your consultants. And then if you'd like, I can go through the ordinance and highlight those provisions that are different from your PRD provision. Gary, would you like to present the plans? So we're going to walk through the plan that you initially saw, and we're going to show you the plan that we presented to the planning commission. And that's the plan on which this ordinance, this proposed ordinance is based.
Shouldn't make a deal with them to get their tripod.
About that. I delivered, and I see you all have the 11 by 17s. And in the upper right-hand corner, the first page should be the plan that you've seen before, which included apartments, townhomes, and single families. This is what that looked like. The apartment complex, not complex, the apartment units, the townhomes, and the single families. If you recall, we talked about relocating Willow Glen Road to improve the access on the 23, and eventually we talked about the turnpike, how that's going to push even further to the east. To make that connection, we were going through the community and tying into Highcroft Drive, across from, there's several homes that were built there, and then we also had a connection to Hunters Run Road. I'm not sure I need to go into a whole lot more of what the old plan was, but I'd like to show you what the differences are. And as a result of those several meetings that Bill referenced that we were with the Planning Commission, we took some of the comments that we heard, one of which was the apartments. No one really wanted to see apartments in this complex, in this development. So we eliminated the apartments. So this area to the west, next to Morgan Trailer, on the east side of Willow Glen Road, will now be townhomes. We increased the number of townhomes, but we eliminated the apartments. We also reduced the total number of units. If you recall, and if you can read it on the upper right-hand corner of the original plan, it was 296 units, 110 single families, 144 apartments, and 42 townhomes. Now what we have is, we have 231 units, which is a 22% reduction in the number of units. Again, no apartments, and the mix is 135 single families and 86 townhomes. We also heard some comments about connecting to Highcroft Drive and eliminating a section of Willow Glen Road. What we didn't realize was how much traffic comes out of Morgan Trailer at lunchtime to go over to Sheets, and we missed that one, so we agreed that that connection to Highcroft Drive should be eliminated. So now what we're proposing for Willow Glen Road is to continue it all the way out to the traffic light, the road that would come in from the traffic light across from Lowe's. So we would take the unsafe, or not so safe exit on the 23 from Willow Glen and bring it over to a signal control intersection. and we do have our traffic engineer with us that can get into a lot more detail. There was also a concern that a portion of the property along Route 23 would remain as commercial or IOP, and we're showing a 7 to 8 acre piece that would remain industrial office or commercial, and that is about 14% of the total property. And I think in the ordinance, we're required to have a minimum of, the proposed ordinance, a minimum of 10%. So again, we kept the connection to Highcroft from Hunters Hill Road that would exit towards, it would be a road that would connect to the traffic light at Lowe's. We believe that's a better connect for those folks. We took away the Highcroft connection from Highcroft Drive. We took that connection out, eliminated the apartments, reduced the number substantially, the total number of units, and also our landscaping. We buffered all the perimeters with the exception of the farm fields. Farmers don't really like trees along the fields. We've learned that by experience. So we're not showing any there. This is, again, a concept plan. There's a significant amount of plantings. It exceeds what's actually in the proposed ordinance. We're not stuck on where these things go. In the future, if somebody wants to talk to us about doing a better job of screening, we can do that. We thought we would address the areas all the way around the perimeter so that any of the adjacent properties will be adequately screened. We're showing the Willow Glen Road will be on the commercial side of the residential portion with some berms and plantings to separate the commercial from the residential. And we're proposing, in addition to sidewalks, I think what we talked about with the planning commission was sidewalks on one side. We're showing a walking trail that pretty much connects with sidewalk and runs around the perimeter of Willow Glen Road. The streets have 50-foot right-of-ways. The streets are private, with the exception of Willow Glen Road, and we believe that Hunters Hill Road should be a township street so that it makes a connection to Highcroft. This would be maintained by a homeowners association, and to answer your question about stormwater maintenance, in our homeowners documents and declarations, we include as part of their fee the inspections for the basin, and we actually reference in some of our communities that they must comply with the MS4 if sometime in the future this becomes an MS4 township, which I know it's not at this point. So that concern, whether you put an escrow in force or not, that concern would be addressed long term, and there wouldn't be any township funds, taxpayers' monies that would have to go towards the maintenance of the basin. So I believe, if you have some questions, I think I've pretty much identified the changes between the first plan that you saw back in November versus this plan, which is a result of lots of conversations and some meetings.
Will that be in writing that we won't bear any tax increase? Will that be in writing for us?
I didn't say tax increase. What I said was that the stormwater requirements will not be a burden on the taxpayers. So there's kind of two different things. Don't try.
Okay.
So it will drive the school taxes up, I'm sure, right?
It will drive the school taxes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the population of the school we've lost 500 kids in the last 8 years, so.
I don't see that as a problem.
So, do you have any further questions?
Okay, would you, at this time, I can walk through the differences from the proposed ordinance from your PRD ordinance. Would you like to do that at this time?
What are the big differences?
Okay, the main differences are, one, we've added a specific provision that 10% of the gross tract area must be reserved for permitted use under the IOP code district. So that's where we come in with the commercial piece. So under the ordinance, we have an obligation to maintain 10% of the tract. Obviously, as Barry said, the apartments which are permitted use in the PRD, under the PRD ordinance, have been removed. To qualify for this overlay district in the IOP district, you have to have at least 25 contiguous acres. It must be serviced by public water and sewer. A minimum of 30% of the gross area of the development shall remain common open space. And at least 80% of the common open space shall be located within 1/2 mile from all dwelling units. There must be a minimum of 40% of the development consisting of single-family dwellings. We've added an entire new section on landscape. Much more detail, much more objective standards. We've added an entirely new section on parking as it relates to the townhouse units and the other residential units. Those are the major differences from your PRD. The proposed ordinance is much more detailed than your current PRD. And then the PRD sections that you didn't change are being pulled in by reference. Again, the PRD was our model for this ordinance.
We never allowed PRD in commercial zoning, only in residential zoning, never before.
That's the purpose of our request, Mr. Steiner. That's the purpose of the request.
Madam Chair, I would like to clarify my answer to Mr. Razor. It will increase the school taxes on this property, on the airport property. As far as what it does for the rest of the district and the township, I can't speak to that, but my answer was intended to address this property, and it will increase the school taxes on this property, as you saw before.
What? I'm gonna ask for any comments from the audience.
Well, I have a couple. Is there overflow parking on the apartment side?
The apartments
On the
are
townhouse side.
removed. There is parking for the townhouses is 2 on-site plus 1 for every 2. So that's how we calculate the overflow parking.
That's not much.
So there's 2.5 parking spots per home.
1.5.
Correct.
One.
There's 2 on-site and then 1 additional.
1.5 for every 2? Is that what you said?
2 on-site and then 1 additional for every 2.
For every 2 homes.
For every 2 homes.
So it's 2.5 parking spots per home.
Family homes are 3 to 4 bedrooms, but only have 2 parking areas except for the 2 in the garage. So if they fill the garage up, they only have 2 parking spaces. And they have children's driving, there's gonna be a situation.
The single-family home on-site parking requirements 4 parking spaces, Mr. Stein.
In our in our current zoning. But we don't have zoning for high-density housing in the IOP. You're proposing all this from
You
your
do
own.
have high-density zoning in your township. And this,
Not in
this,
IOP
this,
or any
this
part.
amendment, this proposed amendment is based off provisions that you currently have.
And they aren't good. In the residential housing, we have a problem with parking all over the.
I
parking
can't
all over the
speak to whether
township.
your ordinance is good or not.
Yeah, but I'm saying we shouldn't change commercial to residential when they cost the township money with residential. The taxes will go up to the township.
Yes, I think so too.
Does anyone have any comments to make to the audience that want to speak regarding this?
I just had a clarification for Gary. Willow Glen, in the previous maps, it was not connected to Main Street. Did I hear you say that it will now be connected or not?
It will, yeah, I think, can I just show you?
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
show you would be better. Originally,
Right.
it was gonna cul-de-sac here.
Right.
And then this would be how they would have to go. Where we are now is, this is, it will be,
Oh, it'll be
existing
on
is
the
to
edge.
here, then
Okay.
it'll come in the back of the proposed commercial, and then get to the traffic light here.
Okay.
So it won't come through the community. This was a
Right.
mistake that we made in the
Right.
beginning,
Okay.
we missed that.
Okay. Thank you, I
Answer your
appreciate
question?
that, that's good.
Yes.
Mr. Colby, you referenced that you expect, 135 single family and 86 townhomes. Do you have any idea how many people,
I think Gary actually referenced that.
I'm sorry, I missed that number.
I think I gave some facts on that. From the 2020 census, the average is 2.53 people per home. Probably, that's just single family, maybe a little less on townhomes, but I could only get single family, data.
I have one other question, and I think this actually came up at the planning commission meeting. You mentioned that 30% of the development had to be common open space, but that the basements counted towards that open space under the current ordinance, correct?
Only a portion of the basements.
Okay, like that percentage, or?
Yes.
Okay,
Gary?
25%.
25%.
thank you.
Anything else?
No.
And your name?
Julie Slavinsky.
And, yes.
Yes.
Can you speak your name, please?
Lindsay Mercer. Okay, so I would like to know how this is gonna affect our school system, because, I mean, right now, I have siblings in the school system and already overcrowded and overrun. And with all these new families coming in, it's not gonna be feasible for teachers to come in and teach. Their classes are gonna be overcrowded, they're not gonna get the learning experience that they deserve. And just the foot traffic and, you know, the extra traffic coming through, the buses are already backed up way past the high school, and it takes an astronomical amount of time just to come through there, and then to put another road, I mean, with houses with children that need to come in and out, it's just gonna back the traffic up even more. And 4 o'clock, 3:30, when everybody's leaving school and coming down 23, I mean, that's prone to accidents with new drivers, student drivers, parents trying to get home to their children to get them off the bus. I mean, I just don't feel like this is a feasible, logical thing to do.
Want me to answer that question?
You can answer.
I have our current enrollment for this upcoming year, which is, 2,386 projected students. That's 481 less than what we had, 8 years ago. Actually, yeah, 8 years ago. So, staff size hasn't been decreased, to our knowledge. And I think some of the enrollment numbers, when we've asked for class size, and I can't speak to your, specific situation, but, there are some lower class sizes. So capacity wise, there's capacity in the buildings. As far as bus traffic. The bus congestion is really, not a function of what's going to go on in this development or any other development. It's really, the roads that are over by the middle school and high school.
But we're gonna need more buses to come in to traffic these children to the school.
Are the buses full now?
They are full. And we're lacking bus drivers, because nobody wants to do it. We're lacking help everywhere in general, but especially.
And you're a current student now,
No,
your sisters or your siblings
my
are.
siblings are, yes.
I'm sorry, I don't have bus capacity, so I can't address that.
Well, regardless of bus capacity, I can see where the traffic from all the homes is gonna add to what we have. No matter what you do to those lights, however you rig them, it is not gonna make the traffic better.
Well-
You may have the side roads backed up more.
Well,
But
I'm not an
it is
expert in
not
traffic,
possible.
I assume you're not an expert in traffic. But
Oh, I can look
we have
at
our traffic engineer here, if you have some traffic questions, he'd be happy to answer your questions. I'm gonna
The
stop.
other
when
main
it comes to
question would
traffic.
be to him is, how do you bring all these homes in here and not have more traffic? That's a simple question,
We're going
and
to.
that's not possible, it's gonna be more traffic.
That's, the simple answer is there will be more
That's
traffic.
right.
But I think what you need to consider is it's a zoning application before you. Or you have an IOP zoning with certain by right uses that, if they meet all the ordinance requirements, could go in that piece of property. We're talking 47 acres. And then you have a zoning application before you for residential homes. So really the question, and I'm sorry, Eric Mounts with Traffic Planning Design, I'm sorry, I've been before you a few times, but I wanted to give you my name. But really the question becomes is, what are the impacts of this zoning application with respect to traffic? Or what you could have with by right uses versus what this 47 acres being considered for residential would generate. So just to give you some numbers, and
You want me to hand out? You want copies?
I'm gonna speak off some numbers, yeah, Gary, if you.
Would you like to see the copies of the traffic?
No, I mean, I don't need to see it.
But just, I just wanna give you this is gonna take less than 5 minutes to just give you some of the preliminary information we've looked at thus far. I wanted to give you some baselines of traffic in the area right now, so I wanna give you some numbers, which kind of gives you an order of magnitude. So Route 23, we pulled a combination of data from PennDOT and the most recent traffic study that was done in this area, which is for the Taco Bell Starbucks development, which actually as part of that traffic study did include the Route 23 intersection with the signal at the Lowe's driveway, so basically right at this proposed development. For a weekday, 24-hour period, the traffic along Route 23 in this area is approximately 13,000 cars per day. Traffic studies are done based upon peak hours, so it looks at your weekday AM and PM commuter peaks. The traffic from that Taco Bell Starbucks study, the weekday AM peak hour, about 1,200 trips along Route 23. PM peak hour is the highest at approximately 1,650. And that study did have Saturday as well, which I think we all would agree Saturday is also busy in this area. That traffic number was approximately 1,450 cars during the busiest hour on Saturday. So that kind of gives you the baseline of where we're at. As just a magnitude of looking at this development versus what could be here, a starting point is directly across the street. The Lowe's, Walmart shopping center, IOP zoning, similar size tract, kind of gives you an idea of what you could theoretically have here. But we did look at this 47 acres that's being considered for rezoning. So you have the 135 singles, 85 townhomes. What's that traffic generation look like? Over the 24-hour period, it's approximately 2,000 trips per day. When I say trips, that's basically a combination of enter and exit in and out of the site. The weekday AM peak hour, 142 trips. Weekday PM peak hour, 190 trips. Saturday peak hour, 190 trips. So it gives you a baseline compared to Route 23. But I think what's important to note is I think this is a good blend when you consider this development as a whole. Gary had mentioned that there's approximately 7 to 8 acres preserved along Route 23 for the IOP zoning to allow for the commercial. So I mentioned the residential rezoning is about 2,000 daily trips. If you look at some of the uses that are allowed by right, that could go on that 8 acres, I'm just gonna run through a few here as an order of magnitude. Fast food restaurant, 1,700 trips per day. a bank, 500, coffee shop, 1,600, a supermarket, 4,300 trips per day. Point being is, you can take that 8 acres and have a single use that generates more than what we're looking at here. You could have a full 47 acres developed and have significantly more traffic. So I think what you need to look at is, as a whole, this 47 acres is relatively low generator versus what could be there.
Can I say something? These homes are not, how are they gonna benefit us? The grocery store would benefit us. We need to think about the community. Do we
None of
need
the
more
grocery-
homes? Pardon me?
No, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, do you think we?
No, I
more
just don't
homes?
think, as a business analysis, none of the grocery stores are coming in because we
Well,
don't
can't
have the
predict what the
residential.
future is, just like we can't predict it to compare to what they wanna put in. We have to deal with what we're dealing with right here. Do
Keep in
we feel
mind-
this fits?
There's no law that says we have to develop every single inch of property in Morgantown, is there? I mean,
Keep in mind, the
Who's gonna
grocery
come
store
here?
will most likely be current residents going to the grocery store.
That's right.
We're talking about new people.
I
moving
know,
in.
and look at the wear and tear on the roads, extra wear and tear on our roads that we're gonna have to pay for.
Yes.
I would like a little more clarification about the traffic. Is this, the numbers that you're giving, are they the additional, is this the additional amount of traffic that's going to come from this, development only into the community? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So talking about the 24-hour period when I mentioned 2,000 trips, that is the additional traffic over that period specific to the 47 acres that are subject to the zoning application, so the 221 residential units.
Do you live in Morgantown?
I live about 10 minutes from here, but grew
I'm
up.
talking about Morgantown.
I went to, so, I'll give you, I am very familiar with this community. I grew up, my grandparents are right across the street. I spent my entire childhood right across the street here. I went to Twin Valley. I served as the president of the Elverson Morgantown Lions Clubs for over 10 years. I'm very familiar with this community. I stood at the intersection of Route 23 and Route 10 collecting money for years.
Well, I appreciate that, but I would like a study done that's giving us the overall, traffic flow through Morgantown proper. Because I live on South Street, and let me tell you what, all summer, Friday, Saturday, you're lucky if you can get out on the street. Now, I think this is a problem. It is a problem for me as a resident living in Morgantown. If anything at all happens, we're done. It's a gridlock. There's nowhere to
We do
go.
have something else happening, we have that apartment building going in, which is gonna add to it already.
We don't even have that in yet, people aren't even living in the area, we don't
Right.
know what that's
That's
gonna.
coming, I
And
mean-
we're talking about.
This is a genuine concern of mine. I just don't see how Morgantown, 2 lanes can handle additional traffic.
And to your point, if this project were to move forward, there is a full traffic process to be adhered to moving forward, where all of those things will be looked at through third party. It'll be looked at by the township engineer. It'll be looked at by PennDOT. There will be full traffic studies done for this that will look at that. So if this development is deemed to have an impact on the roadways, there's improvements that will go along with that. So just keep in mind, this is a starting point, but there is a full traffic study process that would follow if this were to proceed.
Well, it seems to me these studies are more theoretical than real.
And they're old. They're old studies.
Well, the study would be new for this. This would be all new traffic
The one
counts.
we have going in now, that study was
But
like
unless
5
you
years
get
old.
2 extra lanes in there, the traffic's still gonna increase. It's gonna be there, you can't change that.
What you're explaining to do,
Traffic signals. So I hear you on the traffic signals, but we did take a look at your traffic signals. So you have 7 traffic signals that are along Route 23 within the township, from Valley Road to 176 off ramps. I have access to the PennDOT website to look at traffic signal information. So I pulled each one and looked at when were the most recent changes made to any of those traffic signals. Some of those traffic signals have not been touched since 2004. It's no wonder that some of those traffic signals are not operating efficiently. In order to have optimal traffic flow, you have to have optimal traffic signal operations. When you have 17 years without a traffic signal being touched, there's a pretty good reason why it's not operating efficiently.
And what's not efficient about it?
Timings, signal
The time
equipment,
for the main road? Are you saying? they-
very well could be.
So you don't know? What
The time, well, so, but to your point, you're saying traffic backs up.
Whether I'm sitting on the side road or I'm sitting trying to get out of my driveway right on Main Street across from Walmart, it's difficult. I can't even make a left turn. I usually have to go into Walmart and go down into the light to get out. Just to go down to Doug's, which is a few blocks down the road. What traffic signal is gonna fix that? No matter how you time them, the traffic's going to increase. It's only gonna get worse. You may be able to time it where it might run a little smoother, but the traffic is still more traffic. It's
So-
an issue.
I disagree with your assertion that
Unless you wanna
optimizing
back
traffic
up on the
signal
side
operation
road so
isn't
they
going
can't
to
get out.
improve the flow along the corridor. I disagree with that. There's plenty of information that discredits that. With that said, as I go back to, this 47 acres and looking at the residential development, it is a low traffic generator compared to what could be there. I think it's pretty well known that something is gonna happen with that property. So you have by right uses that could go there, they could theoretically generate
They could.
substantially more traffic. What you get here is a good blend of the commercial traffic and the residential traffic, and that residential traffic is what drives the commercial traffic. You can't have one without the other in most cases. The residential traffic here, compared to some of those uses, is significantly lower. I mentioned at the peak, you're talking
But we can't
190.
make a decision. We're here to deal with this decision right now. I don't wanna know about the boogeyman that might come. They might
But I
not.
think we all know it
They
is
could.
coming, that
It could.
property is being
And then
actively
the
shut.
community will deal with that at that time.
But
So
this
we need to make a
development, if
decision
the
on this.
concern is traffic, I'm speaking solely to traffic. This development, from a traffic perspective, from my perspective, if you consider that property as a whole, is a good combination of uses with respect to traffic. It provides the township what they're looking for with the frontage to Route 23, remaining commercial, and brings those uses you'd like to see, but avoids a similar situation to across the street where you end up with a large shopping center, which I think we would all agree that shopping center generates a heck of a lot more traffic than what these hundred. I'm speaking in regard to, I'm speaking to traffic, the concern is traffic. From a traffic perspective, this is a good use.
Something this
Okay,
big,
but
I
the
think
shopping
residents
center-
would be involved in.
The shopping center, current residents mostly going to the shopping center, not new residents moving into the
And
community.
all over the place, right.
It doesn't change the fact that traffic is the traffic. If the concern is progression along Route 23, it doesn't matter if it's you as a resident living here or me as a resident 10 miles down the road. We're still going there and creating the same congestion. It doesn't matter where you live.
New residents into the community, it increases the volume of traffic.
Everywhere.
Okay, right.
Okay, just a couple of things.
Yeah.
Number one, this, like, every time that this piece of property comes up, or any other piece of property really for that matter in this town, everybody always says, well, why can't we have a grocery store? You should put a grocery store there. Can we just, everybody, like, they're not their job to put grocery stores
Right.
places? Like, people that have money wanna build grocery stores, they go buy land and they build a
Right.
grocery store. If it's economically feasible for them, if they think it's
That's
gonna be profitable, right? So, the other thing with the traffic thing, right? To me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to object to this particular use based on the traffic it's gonna generate, when the use that's already allowed by right will generate way more traffic than this use. So, that just, the other thing is, the bottom line for me about this whole thing is that this airport property is going to be developed because the people that own it don't want it anymore, and their kids don't want it anymore, and, it's gonna either be developed by them, or it's gonna be developed by somebody else within the next few years, so.
Maybe we should wait and see who else,
Well, do you know that somebody could come in tomorrow and say that I wanna put a 75-foot office building on that
Yeah,
property, and they
but
totally
it has to
can?
go through
No, it
the
doesn't,
township.
nope, it doesn't, it's a use by right, they can do it without asking permission.
Well, there's nothing wrong with an office building.
A 75-foot office building, but this is bad, and that's good?
That'll hold
Okay.
5,000
Office
people.
building would be better than having.
Oh.
That's a lot more traffic.
Right, did you
Yeah.
want,
Their kids, yeah, it would be much
You think
better.
that'd be better?
did you have
Yes.
something else?
No,
Was there anyone else that wants to speak? Yes.
I do. So I'm having meetings pretty regularly, and so I know what I'm talking about. And something that I have seen is been discussions, and one of the things in the earlier time of Berks Homes coming was that there was a lot of concern that Berks Homes wouldn't work with the township to make this property the best it can be for Morgantown. And I've been really impressed with how Berks Homes has done a lot of accommodating for us. Sure, things might need to change. It's a really big project and that's expected. But I have seen a lot of work done by Berks Homes, and so I just wanted to thank them for that.
Anyone else? No one?
Well, to piggyback off what she just said, I gotta agree with you that Berks Homes has been willing to jump through hoops for us. Now, I granted that they're trying to get our approval up here, so of course you guys are gonna do what we want you to do. I get that. But as a supervisor, I gotta be honest with you, I have people come up to me all the time and say, you know what, we need a better grocery store, we need a restaurant with a liquor license, we need this, we need that. That will not take place unless demographics step up. Rooftops bring demographics. As much as everybody hates to see it, that's a fact. Now, I know Alan can argue the fact that commercial brings in more money than residential, he's absolutely right. But commercial could be a 75-foot warehouse, could be a bunch of different things with a lot more traffic. We have a builder here that's willing to work with us, and he's already changed so much stuff up. Who knows? I mean, this is only giving them approval for the overlay. If they come back, I'm sure we could tweak the plans even more if need be. So, I mean, I support the plan, I do, I support the overlay.
People, has anyone put a bid in on a property that wants to build an office complex? The police won't have to, these are gonna be 95 people in an office, where the police aren't gonna have to worry about all the kids at night and all the traffic at night. Has anyone offered? Does anyone want
I
to build
can't
an
answer that,
office
I don't
building?
know, I don't know.
I believe offices, if you will, back seat, because everybody, they're not building offices, right? Everybody's working at home now. Yeah, they're not building offices. They're not building offices. But keep in mind, one of the last developments the planning commission approved, and we were just talking about here tonight, was that, testing facility for the car seats.
Yeah.
I think they have like 3 or 4 employees for that big facility.
Yeah.
You don't have any idea what might purchase this property, you know what I mean? But we keep getting, scared about possibly a warehouse.
I know,
or worse
why are you
scenario.
getting scared? Let
I
it
don't know.
evolve, just let it evolve.
I don't think we should change the zoning. Okay, if it was a per right use, that'd be one thing, but it's not. We're looking to change the zoning to accommodate a builder, and it's not right, because it's gonna harm the community.
Well, if everybody's so worried about traffic coming through Morgantown, no one seemed to care about the traffic when the casino wanted to come in here.
That's true.
You don't think the casino's gonna add more traffic? Maybe not the school buses coming down Twin Valley Road, but what about through Route 10 and around the Heritage and coming through the computer? It's stopping Mickey D's and then we'll go to the casino. That, no one seemed to care about that because it's gonna be it's gonna generate revenue. So no one really cared, none of the people that live in the community really cared about the casino.
I've said this for years.
Most people, I didn't hear anybody complain about traffic when the casino went through and got approved. Now we wanna build nice homes and add to our, basically our tax base up here. No one wants homes though. I don't get it.
It'll cost us more taxes to build homes in there. It will cost us more taxes.
Okay, it will, I get that, but.
Well, that's not true, Alan. There will be tax dollars coming in, but there is a piece of the tax dollars, they're gonna get taxed the same as everybody else in the township, but they're not gonna get the same services, because they're not gonna have their roads fixed like a lot of the other communities in the township. So they're actually supplementing the other taxpayers, because if they're paying the same taxes, they're not getting exactly the same services. So that's not an accurate statement. That it's
What
gonna
about
cost
the
you.
additional police resources?
Yeah, I looked at your police reports. Do you know how many police reports or police, visits there are to residential? It's like 5%, and if you take in some of the other things, it's probably at the most 10% of your calls. It's probably 300, I think you do 3,000 or 4,000 a year. It's about 300 calls at the most that go to actual developments.
according to one of your previous police reports. So we did look at that. We listened to what you said, previously about the police department, and that you were gonna have to add, well, one officer, and then you said you're gonna have to have two officers, so we did listen.
Let me correct the statement that was made. This is not a hearing to adopt the ordinance. The next step is for the Board of Supervisors to refer it back to your planning commission for a written review in 30 days, and also to the Berks County Planning Commission for a written review in 30 days. This isn't a hearing on an adoption of the ordinance.
I have one thing to say, and I just want to say that I don't profess to know what the right use of that land is. My only concern would be if it, with the development would be that it doesn't turn into a Kenwood or a Hycroft situation where, I don't live there, but I've driven through there and the roads, I don't know what the width of the roads are for this particular, development, but the roads in those two developments are horrendous. Trying to weave your way through there, I would hope that that doesn't happen for this development. The other thing I would hope is that we don't then end up getting, the township getting land that we have to then take care of, because I've since coming to the meetings, I've heard there's nothing but problems in Penwood with the walking trail and some of the other situations there, so that is a concern of mine. Like I said, I don't know what the right thing to put in that property is, I know something's coming.
Can I answer a question? The roads are wider. We're proposing 28-foot crosswalk. They're 24. Hycroft is 33-foot right-of-ways, which makes those homes appear really close to the street. So our right-of-ways are proposed at 50. Our cart width is 28, and that's a little bit different. And everything else in the community is maintained by the homeowners association. So the township won't be mowing basins, the township won't be dealing with walking trails. That'll all be within, the constraints and.
I thought this other two started out as homeowners as well.
Yeah, they expanded it.
No, that's not true.
Penwood was.
Penwood started, but the original 11 purchasers chose to not have a homeowners association, and the township at that time was willing to take the open space for the help with, and the help with the land for the maintenance building, and there was some help there from the builder to build the salt shed.
And I didn't agree, so you know.
No, everybody agreed.
I had to, because it was pretty much, I was one of them, I didn't agree, but I was outvoted. Yeah.
But yes, it did start out
Yeah,
originally.
it was outvoted.
So again, how wide are these roads proposed? 24 feet?
28 feet.
28 feet?
28 feet, the same as what's, I talked to you about to go look at Mill Street. It's the same as what's
What
at
is
Mill
it
Street.
in Penwood?
24. 50-foot right away, 24 foot parking.
Now in this proposed development?
It's
28.
28 feet.
Is there parking on the road?
There will be parking on one side.
Anything else? Anyone else? Yes, Rebecca.
Yeah, no matter how you look at it, you can't make Main Street wider.
Right.
It's still gonna be a bottleneck, and even more so with more new ones coming in.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay.
What, I guess I should make it clear what we're asking for. The next step is for this board to go, either refer to the planning commission and the Berks County Planning Commission before the ordinance. That's the next step, if the supervisors deem it appropriate to move forward.
So we can't move to reject the proposed text amendment, is that what you're saying?
It's up to your council.
Yeah, I can speak briefly to the process, so let me make 2 points. One is their request, it touches on how zoning ordinance gets adopted. So every zoning ordinance amendment that's proposed must go to the county planning commission and the township planning commission for 30 days. They issue written comments. They're non-binding. You can accept their suggestions and further modify the ordinance, you can disregard their comments. Once you get the ordinance finalized, it then needs to be advertised for a public hearing. Public hearing must then be held, it gets advertised twice in the Reading Eagle, and then following that public hearing, the board can either further modify the ordinance, or it can then move to adopt or deny the ordinance. So that's the first point. So what being requested of you today is simply one step in what will continue to be an ongoing review process. So there'll be more opportunity to revise the ordinance, there'll be more opportunity to discuss the ordinance, there'll be ultimately a final decision on whether to accept or deny the ordinance. Stepping back to the general procedure for a zoning text amendment that brings you here today, it's important to note your role. Unlike most land development plans where you are sitting almost as a judge and you apply the ordinance and you grant or you deny a land development plan, any landowner under state law can request a zoning ordinance amendment. We call them zoning text amendments. In a case like this, you're acting in your legislative capacity. So there's a big difference there. As a legislator, you have full discretion on whether to consider the proposal from the landowner or not. You can accept it, you can modify it, you can reject it. So, and there's no time frame for doing so. There's no deadline for you to act on an application for zoning text amendment, unlike the land development plans that need to be approved or denied within 90 days. So you can take as long as you'd like, you can make as many modifications as you'd like. Ultimately, at some point, you're going to need to hear from the developer in terms of whether your requested revisions make their concept unattractive or not viable any longer. So now getting back to today, you have your legal options are broad. You can take no action tonight. There's nothing in the law that mandates it, although they're making the request. You can vote to proceed by submitting this proposal to Berks County and to your township to start that 30-day review period and see what they have to say about it. 3, you can say, no, we don't like the concept. It doesn't matter what other conditions or suggestions might be suggested by the planning commissions. I'm just opposed to it in concept, if that's your view. And I've encouraged this board to be open and transparent with not just this developer, but any landowner. So if you don't like the project, you should tell them, because the process that's being undertaken right now is timely and it's expensive. And if there's no set of circumstances that they could propose to you to make you happy with this proposal, then you should just tell them, rather than waste everybody's time and their money. So again, so sitting here today, you have broad discretion to make whatever decision you want, or to take it under advisement and revisit it in the future.
I move to reject the proposed zoning text amendment.
I do also. I'd like to see what Berks County has to say, get some input from them. I'd like to see what Berks County has to say. Let's see what Berks County has to say.
So right now, there's a motion, and I guess Alan seconded the motion to reject. So I think the minutes need to reflect a vote on that motion to reject, if you're ready to take that vote.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then those who are against rejecting it, in favor of going to the planning commission.
Aye. Aye.
Reese,
Jeff,
he said yes to the first one.
the motion to reject it?
No.
Oh,
To pass it.
So you-
oh, that's what you said.
So you want to vote no to the motion to reject? So that motion fails 2-3. And then is there a motion by someone to refer it to the county and township planning commission?
Make that motion? Yes. I'll second.
Motion is second, all those in favor? Opposed? Aye.
Then that motion, Jeff, you said yes to that motion? So then that motion should be reflected 3-2, refer it to the county and township planning commission. We'll do that later this week. So in about 30 days, mid-July, you should expect to receive letters from the county with what their thoughts are on the proposal, and you can then have further discussion at a meeting, consider that.
Does this incur more legal fees for us, our township? Does this incur more legal fees for us?
The
Making this
township's,
decision?
good question, township's policy is to have the applicant, in this case Works
Okay.
Homes, put down an escrow deposit to pay for the professional consultants of the township. So they've put down money to pay for Great Valley and for me to attend and give input.
Okay, because we spent a lot of money last year in legal fees, well over $100,000, and I just, I've been watching that number.
I have a question now, in regards to the whole traffic. Now, it kind of concerns me that some of our lights haven't been updated in 17 years, but I know there's a process in that when it comes to traffic counts and has reasons. But, is this something that you're willing to look at our lights for us if this development were to go through and possibly, time our 7 red lights? Is that something you would be willing to do?
We talked about that earlier, and the answer is yes.
Well, I know it was talked about at planning commission, but I don't think it was ever discussed here in front of the board. But I just want to make sure that, I'm just trying to get some answers.
Yeah, Mr. Whitman, I think it's a reasonable request. Like I said, we have to go to PennDOT. They will, we're gonna scope with the traffic study. I will say, as far as the traffic lights, I don't know if that traffic study would include the whole corridor. Maybe there's something supplemental where we do look at permit 1. Coordination wise, there are only 2 of those that are currently actually coordinated. The rest are operated individually. It's a request that we could certainly look into. I agree with you. Optimizing some of the ones that have not been touched in 10+ years is definitely beneficial.
From what I can tell, they're optimized now. When someone pulls up on a side road, okay, the light turns green, and they pull out, and then, okay, the target, it changes again. But unless someone pulls up to a side road, 23 is straight through. How can you do much better than that?
You've obviously never come up Valley Road when the industrial park lets out.
What?
You've never come up Valley Road when the industrial park lets out.
It will get worse. When you
Well, no,
slow
not
down,
necessarily.
you're
See, when it comes to timing of lights, you're letting them go through faster, which means they're changing and you're not getting the backup like you normally would.
I think our response is, we'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we have, chief. Okay, Eric, how do we want to do this one?
If the board is ready to appoint a chief of police, you can make a motion to do so. My notes. So if you're ready to make a motion, you should appoint the individual, the effective date, and the salary. I put a proposed or suggested recommendation in my memo to you. And then the next thing listed on the agenda would be, once the appointment is made, is to approve the actual employment agreement. So if you don't appoint anybody, then the next thing on the agenda is move for the time being. So those 2 things sort of go together.
Motion? June 21st, the managed salary of $100,000 for all stalls. Anyone want to make that motion?
That motion should be subject to a 1-year probationary period. And
Can you speak louder? We can't hear you.
Because I haven't heard a word.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
I'm right in front, so.
Okay, so
we can start over.
we move to appoint Paul R. Stoltz to the position of Chief of Police effective June 21st, 2021, at an annual salary of $100,000, subject to 1-year probationary period and obtaining his VOCAC certification. Paulie made a motion.
I'll second.
Jack seconded. All those in favor?
Wait,
Good.
take discussion.
Anyone have any comments?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely, that's what I was waiting for.
Okay.
Alan, I want to tell you, I feel that my situation a few years ago, you used me. to make Paul Stolz resign. Do you remember the situation that I am speaking about? And then, you don't remember. Would you want me to tell everyone here?
Sure.
Okay. My husband and I were arrested 8 years ago because we tried to save a Twin Valley football coach's job, name, reputation. And my son, who had worked 2 jobs, hit a telephone pole on Mask Road, which I did not even know where Mask Road was, and I got a call from a drunk man in the middle of the night. The coach at Twin Valley, you don't even know this, the coach at Twin Valley High School. And I said, I don't know where Mask Road is. Can you bring him to Turkey Hill? My son was half unconscious. He was not drunk. He was not drinking. He had worked 2 jobs. The last officer here, Kurtz, I think his name was, is that right? Kurtz? He arrested us because this man, this coach told my husband and I, you have to lie. You tell them, just tell them whatever you have to tell them because your son's gonna go to jail. And I was scared to death, and it was a bad time in our lives. And Officer Kurtz arrested us, and Paul Stolz allowed that to happen. And you called me 20 times. Absolutely. Don't you sit there and lie to my face. Don't you dare.
Go ahead.
You have been lying to everyone, and this is the honest to God's truth. And if I have to bring my son here from North Carolina, I will. And my other son who's at home right now. They know this is the truth. And Paul Stolz let this happen. He was the chief of police. You wanted him out. And you called me and used me. You used me and my situation to force him out, to put John Scalia in. Well, John Scalia ended up being the best chief we ever had in this community. He's Italian, he knows everybody, he knows the kids, he knows everything. Paul Stolz might be a nice guy. He does not know children, and he does not know people, and he does not feel people's feelings. He is a very poor choice for a chief in this community. Now, you sit there and lie. You lie to everybody in here. You go ahead. But that is the truth, and you know it.
Not the truth.
Absolutely, and I have, oh yes it is. And you, see how you can lie to some, you are lying to these people. Absolutely lying, Alan. You know what, you make me sick. I was in a fair last night. 2 township supervisors from neighboring communities were there. And they said, oh, you're from the Love Triangle community. Now what do you think they were talking about? The 2 of you. We are the laughing stock of Berks County. We're the laughing stock. Look at you. You just look like, you don't even look like you belong there.
Okay, anything else?
You are a liar. And I will bring Channel 69 News in here. You have a file on it, and I will come down tomorrow morning to get the file.
Congratulations.
My concern
Yeah.
is why my only concern is why are we bringing somebody, we already had that we let go for some reason or another. I mean, we should be moving forward with new people, and this is why I asked for somebody not in the community to be involved in the process, because we need new blood. I mean, that's the whole thing. We're not gonna keep John here, who was on our force. Why we're going back to a police that was on our force previously? We should be looking outside of our community. And I'm not, no offense, Paul, but to me, we should be moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I'd just like to say, I don't know how many interviews and resumes that you guys went through. I'm sure it was not an easy decision. I think it is the right decision for Morgantown.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it? Okay, so we had a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Congratulations, Paul.
Okay, we have approval of the police chief contract. Is that what we need to do to? Did you have your sign? Okay.
So, I can bring the public up to speed, the board asked me to prepare an employment agreement, which was done, it was circulated, it was reviewed by Mr. Stoles, or Chief Stoles. I don't know if you need anything summarized from that. You hit on the salary of $100,000, the 1-year probationary period. Most of the fringe benefits are gonna be in line with the officers, subject to the collective bargaining agreement, with only 1 or 2 differences. I can hit on them if you'd like. He's being provided with an unmarked car as the chief. He'll receive 5 weeks paid vacation, prorated for this year, of course. That would be more than a first-year officer would get under a collective bargaining agreement, and he would have a cell phone. And everything else is gonna be consistent with the officers in the collective bargaining agreement. His term would run through December 31st of 2025. It would finish up this year and then go for 4 years from 2022 through 2025. And as I advised the board in the past and do with the public, the term of the contract governs only the employment terms, the salary and wages. It does not mean that at the end of the 4.5 years, the chief's tenure is over. After any police officer works for 1 year, they get automatic tenure under state law. And so in 2025, if Chief Stoltz wishes to continue, the only question would be what his terms will be, what his salary will be, what his benefits will be moving forward. He doesn't automatically get terminated December 31st, 2025. So that is a quick summary of the contract.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Police Department car 32-3 replacement lease quote.
Do you guys want to come to that?
Yes.
So, I was able to get the lease quote from Fulton Bank and get it to us. And, for a term of 48 months with the $1 buyout. And that's with New Holland Ford, which has a couple on the lot currently. I inquired about the trucks that, they don't have any. I also contacted Fred Beans of Boyertown. They don't have any. No trucks, no utilities. Pottstown County Ford, they don't have anything. It said it would be at least 20 weeks to order one due to the chip thing, chip shortage.
And Joe, this is in line with our current payment, right? It's a little less. So, does anyone want to make a motion to go?
I'll second that.
Okay, so any questions? Yes.
I'd say that, you better get a deposit on that car, you're gonna lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Now, can you go forward and start working on a package for that, lights and all that stuff?
So what we'll need for the next meeting is a copy of the actual contract to approve and sign. So,
Now, we gotta give
Dealer.
Somebody's to sign.
I would say to get Matt's approval to move forward.
I should give Matt approval to go get the documentation needed to send us the next meeting, yes.
Okay.
And Matt, for now, rather than update, can you just flash a flashlight and make siren?
I got one of those red,
It's more now.
rotators, you know, just put on
Okay, anything else on that, Eric? You're good for now?
no, you're good for now. The only legal issue, I'm sure it's not an issue, is that the car's coming from a CoStar's approved vendor.
They are.
So they don't need to go through.
Okay, next we have Little League stage park rental cancellation approval for refund. So Little League's never used the stage and they're looking for a refund.
$250,000.
Okay. So we have a motion to, and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Village of Dry Crest, HOA, Valley Pond Road. they're looking to park along there as they do three different sections at different times. They wanna use the Valley Pond Road for parking on the side.
Is it Valley Pond or
It's Valley Pond, like I have it
That's-
verified.
It's,
Make sure.
yeah, it is Valley Pond Road, it's real wide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so.
Yeah,
Valley Road, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I said, so it's in it. Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Jeff and Jack, all those in favor? Aye. American Rescue Plan, ratify authorized signers for application.
The application has been submitted for the rescue funds, and so I've signed, most of the forms. Sandy had to sign one, it was required, so.
So we need a motion to authorize Joe and myself to sign the forms that were submitted.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
Motion is second, all those in favor? Aye. Budget resolution sample.
We'll just keep that for next time when funds come, you'll have to.
Okay. Fire committee request for June 26, 2021.
Make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all those in favor? Aye. RPO invoice Caernarvon.
So now I have a question when it comes to this, because after reading what the accrual account said, when it's all said and done, we're gonna pay RKL $9,000 to do this audit. We don't even pay that much for our township for anything. This is 5 days, Carnival lasts 5 days. So we got the breakdown, and the breakdown doesn't really go into any much detail, so I called Mark Zettelmoyer. And after Mark presented his case and his findings to the board, it came up with a $580 shortage. He said he was pretty much okay with that. Turns out that Supervisor Steyer had called him and told him to research it even further to find out where that $580 went, and he went further and researched it even more. That's
Where'd you hear that?
from Mark
That
Zettelmoyer
was
himself.
not the case.
I'm
Because
telling you,
we
Mark
said
told me.
580 was darn good for you guys, we both agreed on that.
Mark Zettelmoyer will come before this board, and he will stand behind me and say that Alan called him almost every day to have him try to find where the $580.
Well, he can come say.
I'll
it,
bring him
he's
up.
gonna have to-
Yeah.
Because $9,000 is ridiculous, and you wanna take that from the
I thought
carnival.
he said like 780.
Okay, well, Jeffrey, correct me if I'm wrong, you did $1,000 and a $500 deposit to RKL, right? Is that what you told me?
The deposits were for the carnival tax that you did, those were for, entertainment for the carnival.
Okay, well, even then, so you got $7,500 for
That's
this.
the first I'm seeing this.
Okay, so the $1,500 was the difference.
Yeah, they were-
That was from the deposits from last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but they were, I just wanted to clarify, they were for
Okay.
current carnival
Okay,
entertainment.
okay, that wasn't said.
I'm
So
sorry.
it's only, that's what I thought. So it's $7,500 then. And what do we pay for our regular audit, Jeffrey?
It's about 8,000, 9,000.
For the whole township.
For the whole township, for an entire year, we pay $8,000, and they audit our carnival records, and it costs $7,500, and the carnival lasts 5 days.
When did we have him at the meeting? Wasn't that in March?
Yeah.
Then how come there's
Bills
bill
after that,
dates after that?
which confirms what Mark told me, how Alan called him.
Yeah, I thought he said that he wasn't gonna charge every time the,
He didn't
carnival
charge us.
meeting and stuff.
He didn't charge us,
But then why is there such an additional charge?
because
Well,
he
there's
said that
like-
you
there's
called
like-
him and told him to find the $580.
There's like 6 of them.
Why do you think he came back with a second report that said that he finally found the $580? Because you directed him to. At whose authority? Did you get the board's authority to have him do that?
I didn't direct him to do anything.
So if I bring him in here, he's gonna lie?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him what he's talking about.
So I don't feel that the carnival has to pay that. I think the township has to pay for that, because,
It's all the same money.
what do you mean? I have separate money for the carnival to pay for this event, and we can't afford $7,500.
Don't worry about it, Alan, taxpayers will pay.
So.
No big deal.
Someone make the motion?
I'd have a
I asked
discussion
the board
too.
reconsider and cover the $5,150. We already paid $2,350.
I'd
pay for investigations, we'll pay for the audits, screw the
He did
people.
not charge me for coming to the meeting, he already told me that when I talked to him on the phone. He said that he, because you called him almost every day. Okay, so I'm telling you, I talked to him personally on the phone, he said, I don't know when you called him, I'm sure he could give me phone records if I really wanted for it. I just talked to him 2 weeks ago. When we got the breakdown of the bill, all it said was code numbers, it didn't really say. But I found that there were dates that he billed us for after he came here at this meeting, he billed us almost $2,500. And that's what the carnival paid for, so now, why is it $7,500 to audit a township? I asked the board to reconsider and pay the $51.50 out of the general fund, not out of the carnival account.
There's gotta be a reason, Keith. There's bills after the fact. Something's screwed up. I thought at that meeting, in March, he said about $5,000.
We paid $2,300 up front. He said there may be some additional costs. But he came before our board in March, but there's still bills, if you read that, after,
There's 4 more bills that total about $2,500.
exactly.
Sandy, when you count the cost, I just have to be honest here, when you count the cost, if there would have been a claim because there were insurance certificates that were not provided, KO had to establish procedures to save the township from some liability matters that would have cost.
It needed.
No, wait a minute. He came before this board in March and gave his final report. Did he not?
We'll be here in 5 minutes.
He gave his final report and said there were $580. So why was there $2,500 in charges after his final report? Because he called him. That's what Mark Zettlemore from RKL told me. I can't answer that. He didn't break it down. He wouldn't write it down on paper, he said. But he told me it because he had him go back in and look at it. That's when he came back with the second final report and said that he found it.
We have to go back to when he issued the engagement letter, he'll tell you in there what the estimate is gonna be, and it's around $7,000. I can pull it.
Okay. All right, so you wanna table this for now?
I think we should, at least so we can explain what happened.
Can I make a comment in reference to that? We were misrepresented up front that was an audit, that item was audited, that was an investigation. It was misrepresented when it was voted on. So I don't think that, it should never even been an issue. You guys should have already, the attorney had said to set a procedure for the carnival for many years. So I think the township should eat that money, and they should investigate the people that, asked that to happen.
Okay, anyone else? Twin Valley Mariner grant update, anything on that?
As far as the grant itself, we did meet on site to go over other options for the school since the grant, they didn't want to work on the pond, which is what the grant covered. We did have a rough option, we met with Mr. McEwen and Scott Haddock, I believe was his name, the school board and the school staff. We came up with some options to make some improvements just on the storm over there in general, and be a couple inlets down the Climber Hill and new end wall out, new end wall outfall. And I sent a letter to the property owner, we thought the best route would be to put it back on the one resident's property versus keeping it in the right of way. So I did send a letter to them to see if they're willing to consider granting an easement for that property. So we made some progress, I believe the schools agreed that they would be willing to commit some funds comparable to what we asked for previously when it would have been the additional work of the grant. So the grant itself, I don't think we need anything for that. There is some action, some improvements that are.
STL update. Project review deadline?
Yeah, we need an extension letter.
I did talk to Aristides, before the meeting, and he will get that letter in tomorrow.
So no action tonight?
No, it'll be for the workshop.
Where do we stand with that? They keep pushing it because of the road.
I was gonna say, we had our conference call with PennDOT, I believe last Wednesday. They had, I had reached out to the engineer to see what was going on, but they said they were gonna submit some stuff. The developer called me, he basically said it's in limbo because the cost to acquire the property he needs now went through the roof, and he just said it would be more than development. I don't know what he was quoted, what PennDOT had asked us to do, because they do have till January of 24 to complete the work, and the multimodal grant they got was for the construction phase. So PennDOT had asked us, I sent an email to the developer, to just try to get their opinion in writing if they are bailing on this, or if they're gonna try to move forward, what their stance is. So I did email the developer just to try to get something in writing to confirm where they're going.
So you can't put an extension on the grant, the grant's got a deadline, correct?
The grant for that is off, yeah, the grant costs, the grant covers construction costs, the way that is, but yeah, the deadline for that is January 2020. So that was where they just wanted to reach out and try to, they said we still have a lot of time, but I know that will go quick too. If having to get PennDOT approval and everything, in this case, everybody's okay with it.
Okay, find a good road permit cost estimate.
I just put a cost together just to let the board realize what the costs were, for that work, the environmental costs, and what the permitting the DEP said we needed to make those improvements. Roughly 26,100 or 31,000. Part of that was because some of the environmental work with wetland delineation and stuff, we don't know exactly what we would have to pick up on the survey and some other work, but the process is not easy to get the permit that we needed to do the work with that. Just wanted to let everyone know what it is, so that you would want to see everywhere what the costs are.
371 Swamp Road update.
At this point, their deadline, I believe, their deadline's coming up from when we gave them the fix the pipe. At this point, there, to my knowledge, has been no improvements made on the pipe. I guess we just need to know what the board would like to do on that moving forward, I guess. On that, I don't know, Keith, did you, I know we talked, you said there was one, there are two driveways there, but I don't know if you can really just say, can't use the one and you can remove the pipe, I don't know if that's a legal thing to do. The pipe was video.
Pipe's needed there, right? I mean, it's for the water.
Right, I mean,
Really
the pipe was.
Have you been out to talk to her?
I haven't talked
Yes.
to her, no, I've been to the site and I know the video that was completed. I think the process on this one was, like, initially they said we were gonna get it televised to let her know what was going on. It was televised, was found, blocked, collapsed, and then they sent the letter, They fixed it, I believe it was letter previously that, and then now it's to the point where I believe it's a couple of days until the deadline's up for the next.
The pipe needs to be fixed, and a year ago, we went out, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, we went and visited it, and we tried to work with her. We were willing to try to come up with some sort of solution, until she pretty much offended the road crew right in front of me, and it was like, you're trying to work with us, we're working with you, and you wanna sit there and say stuff that she was saying, so, cleaning out the swales, or cleaning out the roadside swales, I guess our road crew had damaged the end of the pipe. So we even threw it out there that we would fix our part, but the pipe is completely deteriorated, and that, you confirmed that with the camera, correct?
Correct.
So it's an issue because it's dumping water out there, so I think we need to proceed. We've tried to work with her for 2 years. She's had 2 years to try to come up with something, or even come back to us, so I think it's time that we do something.
So, and if she doesn't fix it, is this where we put a lien on her property? And we fix it because it needs to be done to prevent further damage to the other properties or road?
Well, not if the property without permission, so the better approach would be to enforce it by going to court, seeking either a court citation or equitable relief court order directing her to do it. Or an order of court granting permission to do it, and if you do it, then you do have a right to file a lien in effort to collect. Lien is just that, it's just a piece of paper.
Right.
So once the lien is filed, then you gotta commence the sheriff's sale to sell the property to collect on the lien. So there's more to it than just filing a lien, or that lien will just sit there for years or
Right.
decades. So again, I think you would be initiating enforcement action either with the magistrate district court or court of common pleas.
See, I mean, what you gotta think about this, this isn't just us making some poor old lady fix a pipe. I mean, by fixing this pipe, you're keeping the water on a roadside swale, which is a safety concern, especially in the winter months. Because where her property is located, if you're not familiar, it dumps water out of the road, and come winter time, that's a solid sheet ice. If we wrap up one of our trucks trying to plow down there, where it could be, you know, helped by putting this back in the roadside swale, that's definitely a plus. But it's also washing out our roadway. So,
And to touch on, she sits at the top of the hill, obviously where it goes down, so it affects the entire street from her house down.
I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. I was even willing to work with the girl, even with a payment plan, but you know, she wasn't willing to talk to us or work with us, so I think it's just time to, you know what, it's gotta be done.
Okay, so what's the next step?
We sent letters, correct? So I think we need to proceed in our progressive disciplinary action, however we do it.
We sent letters to,
Yes, I mean, we sent certified, I think it's time to take the next step, whatever that is in our process.
So April 20th, the last notice of violation was set, giving 60 days to abate the violation, so you're not quite at that 60-day period. But if you want to keep this moving, the next step would be for you to adopt a motion directing Terry and I to initiate enforcement action, either in the magistrate district court or the court of common pleas. And then
Was there not a letter sent 2 years ago?
yes, there's been a letter sent 2 years in a row.
Terry, do you remember?
There's been multiple letters.
Right, so we're only at that phase in the process though?
You're right, we are at that phase right now. In other words, the next step is to take her to court.
The last letter we gave her was she had 1 year to fix the pipe, and that year's coming up, so. or is it?
Actually, the last letter was 60 days. The last letter was in April. So,
Whatever that's due.
and she had 60 days.
That's
So,
over.
well, it will be, as of June 20th. The next step would be then, and I have to look at the ordinance to figure out whether it's a citation or a civil complaint. And that's what I need to look at, figure out what to file with the DBA.
So the thing with it is, we had how many people on Swamp Road? 6, 8 people we made replace pipes?
Yes.
So why is it fair for them to make them repair pipes and not have her repair it? So it's gotta be done.
Yeah.
Right.
If we don't take care of this problem, we leave ourselves open to the potential that during the winter, it's gonna ice over and somebody's gonna get hurt or killed. And if it's a kid, it's really gonna be a sad, sad thing.
I agree, because we've discussed it long enough.
We can't keep laying down to this, we've got to stand up for these people.
I'll make a motion to move forward with it, Terry, if you could let us know what that next motion needs, or next move needs to
We
be.
have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. 2021 street project contracts, ready for signature. Oh, no parking ordinance, proposed revision. Well, those are parking? Okay, we're gonna put that off to workshop. And now we're up to 2021 street projects contract.
We sent out the contract documents for both projects, got the paperwork back. I reached out to the contractors, I have a tentative pre-construction meeting set up for the street construction project next Tuesday. I sent her back to the contractor, dates for the project. They look to get a pre-construction schedule on that.
We did this contract to try to wrap up the work for school sure every municipality is the same way, but let's see if this kind of, make sure that's something we look into.
Skate park suggestions.
Maybe just touch base.
COVID delayed it, and now everything's open, so.
Okay.
Well, we want to touch base about that now, while we're talking about that, because it's in the same vicinity.
Yes, so, everyone received the email regarding the net that was left out on the ball field, I guess, area, right? It was removed, and the resident would like to be able to keep it there all the time. I did respond to her, letting her know that this is public land, and they can't just leave their equipment there, they're more than welcome to bring it there every day to play, but they have to remove it, because we're not mowing around it, and other kids, you know, they get hurt on our equipment. So I advised her that, no, we don't make an exception, if she made an exception for her, then everybody wants to leave their equipment out on the fields. So that's where we left it.
Not only that, every toys park that's owned by us has to be certified every year, every month, every week, so if we just let all our residents put all their toys in the park, that are uncertified, we're gonna have trouble.
Well, I mean, what I have to say though is, I mean, what's it really hurt? I mean, is there an area we could put this net that's not gonna be in your way, Keith?
Yeah, but if we do it for one, then we're gonna have to do it for everybody
Well, I
that doesn't
know.
feel like
I
carrying their equipment out.
I understand what you're saying, but also look at it like this, the kids are finding something to do.
Well, right, but they can take it out there, I mean,
Okay, well, how far away is her house from where the net is?
She lives up on the hill,
Yeah,
so it's further.
so is it really that much of an issue?
Only when 10 other people wanna do it,
Would I rather have them doing that than vandalizing or doing something else?
and then have the road crew have to mow around it, weed around it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, can we find a place for it? Is there somewhere you could put it next to the fence or somewhere?
So I would rather, if we're gonna do that, we put one up there.
Well, maybe we could do that. Can we put one up of our own?
You're asking me?
Well, I'm asking, I mean, that park doesn't get used, if the kids are down there using it, why not let's do something with it? I mean, we have this thing, it's run down. I mean, when's the last time you were over there and worked on a ball diamond? No, you haven't because we're not using it.
Right, that's why we discussed just getting rid of it altogether and just.
That's why we discussed putting a skate park there, because I actually have plans, done by a professional, that there was gonna be like a skate park, a doggy park, where parents and kids were gonna kind of be together in two separate sections, so parents could kind of be there when the kids are there to monitor, and there was gonna be a walking path around it, so it would incorporate everybody. But COVID came and that's all shut down, plus it was, if I would have to look back, but I think it was like, I don't remember the numbers, so I'm not gonna lie, it was expensive. So,
Well,
I would like to
I would agree,
back on that.
I say we start looking back into that. Now,
Yes.
the grant that we're getting, can we not use that for Parks and Rec?
He just got in touch with me the other day, as a matter of fact, via email, they asked what's going on with this, and I said I was gonna ask at this meeting, so here we are. So I'm kind of glad it's on there.
So maybe we can come up with something that, for the kids to do. I mean, the skate park is one thing, but if we gotta put a net up over there that's ours, that is gonna be an issue.
I don't even know what sport that net was for.
What's that?
I don't even know what net that sport was for. There's nothing prohibiting you from putting something out there. When I came across that, I determined that that was debris, and I picked it up and removed it. Because it was.
Well, I didn't know anything about it. I got an email from this lady and it was like, what's going on, you know?
I had a
Once again,
pickup
the board
truck
should
load of
have to know
stuff
about
that
this
day.
stuff, and it's very frustrating.
I had a pickup truck load of that stuff that was abandoned up there, and 2 bags of trash in a big open space. There was another playground that I removed and rolled up and put back in the yard so I could complete the mowing. I don't care what you put up there, but, you know, you could certainly do something. I mean, that just seems like a good job for Parks and Recs. I mean, I don't know what kind of room it takes to play lacrosse. You've got room up there to do things.
So we all agree that we can look into maybe going further with the skate park and looking into something.
Doing something.
But do we all agree about letting equipment from?
I just don't
residents
think it's a
sitting
good
on the
idea to
park?
let residents plop their equipment down. I think it's a bad, we're
Precedent.
starting a bad thing.
Eric, is it a liability?
It's probably unlikely. It's probably more just an issue of what's the best management practice and what's efficient for your public works department. The caveat is anybody can always try to sue you for anything, but you're generally immune. And if somebody's equipment causes an injury, it's the cause of that equipment, not necessarily your property.
Did they come pick it up?
Yes.
So they took it back home?
If they put it down there and use it, they're more than welcome, as long as they get out of the way.
Until we come up with something for that park, is there a place that they could put it if they decide to keep it there?
Where you don't have to move to mow around it or weed eat around it?
They can put it wherever they want. The ball field on the diamond field against the outfield, the backstop fence would be perfect. But it finds its way throughout the yard, it finds its way out, and it's never erected, it looks like a net. It looks like a pile of scrap metal with a fishing net on it.
I get that you pick up trash, trust me, I understand, there's trash all throughout the township, but I don't want to deter kids from going to our parks and having a good time.
Well,
That's
yeah,
up to you.
What does he determine whether it is trash or it's
Well,
good
I think
equipment?
we
Now,
found out
he's
now.
gonna have to make a decision. We're gonna start getting phone calls with people complaining about that because he's picking up stuff he thinks is trash. I mean, where does it end? Do we really wanna start that? Yes.
If it is let, to be placed on the ball field and other kids break it or take it or vandalize it in some way, is
We're not
the
liable.
township liable for that?
No.
Okay, just wanted to clear that out.
Can we just put a net box up there, one of them locker things, with a lock on it?
You keep this thing when you get in.
Oh, I thought it was just the net. I didn't
No,
realize it was
the-
a frame.
We tell the park and rec feel about people leaving stuff on the fields in the parks. Do you wanna discuss
I
it?
can't speak for everybody.
Do you want us to discuss it at the next
Yeah.
meeting and?
Yeah, certainly. You can do that.
Treasurer Memorial Plaque draft.
There's no draft yet, I've reached out
Oh, there's
to
not, okay, so
to a vendor, they haven't responded.
we'll move on. Administrators report.
DCED is coming at your workshop meeting, so we'll give the police report to the public.
So June 22nd, the DCED will be here to present their report. Carnival and anniversary update.
Our carnival is next week, starts Tuesday night from 6 to 10 and runs through to Saturday, 6 to 10. If it's busy on any of those nights, they will stay open a little bit later, most likely probably 10:30, 11 o'clock with that. Our fireworks are Friday, June 18th, with a rain date of Saturday, June 19th. Currently, we are still trying to finalize all of our vendors. We're trying to figure out placement of food trailers and whatnot. I was in contact with the amusement company. They most likely will start bringing some stuff in as early as Saturday night, Sunday, this coming Saturday night. As long as everybody's okay with it, I just told them to park it over the Clyde Smith Field over there. Pete, do you have an issue with that? Nothing's going on over there. We checked with MAA, but they'll probably start parking some stuff over there. I know in the past they had parked some stuff in the back here, but I know with Dr. Kim being there, I told him not to do that, try to contain it all to Clyde Smith Field. I do need some approval or for some checks that I will have to give out next week for the entertainment. So I can give that list over to Joan, but it is a total of $12,500. That's between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's entertainment, the fireworks for $7,500, and the Saturday night entertainer of $1,000. And then throw in our petty cash that we need, it's a total of $14,000 out of the carnival. So I can get that over to you. Jeffrey, will you be in it all to cut checks? Okay, I will get this list to you with, who to make it out to with what's in the memo. Because I wanna keep the entertainment on there so we keep record of that. Is everybody okay with me getting these checks?
You have a motion? Second? All in favor? Okay, clearances. They're all done.
We're still working on some of them. I know I have to get mine in. I haven't been able to discuss names.
And the minutes.
And the minutes I just got from Terry this afternoon, I didn't get a chance to email them to Joan, so I will.
Joan has them.
Oh, she has them too? Okay.
Yeah, I got the email, because that was from June 3rd and
Yes,
that's fine.
yes. So, yeah, Joan has the minutes.
maintenance department.
The only thing I have is there was an application for employment received, and at this point, I have the help that is required for the summer. If it's all right with you, I'd like to have them send that notification to the applicant.
SEO report. Oh, is there something else?
I do, I wanna know what you wanna do with that hole in the front of the stage and the lattice work, since your carnival's next week.
We put in our minutes or our request, because that get replaced.
That was your request, and Supervisor White had said not to at the last meeting, so at this point, I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what to do.
You had said, you had said.
Well, I wanna check with Colt, because I think Colt had some, I don't know if he has it, or do we use up what's already in the back?
What was in the back or underneath been busted or used, there isn't anything over there to replace it.
How many pieces do we need, just one, or do we need about 5?
At this point, I only know of one hole.
And what is it, a sheet, is it like $50 a sheet?
I couldn't tell you.
Jack?
In this day and age, it's hard to say.
How you know? What we got?
It's too expensive.
It is, John. I mean, we have plans to actually do something different with that, but right now, we just don't have the funds for it, so, take a look at it, because the signs will be covering up some of that with the current plans. So, if we have to patch something, maybe we'll take something off the back and put it on the front to make it look presentable.
So we'll just push it off for now.
Yeah.
So you don't need to do anything right now?
That's fine. So the Clyde Smith restrooms, the old guy was here. As part of that process, a toilet got broken. Are we all right with replacing it?
Well, we discussed not having the toilets in there, and we not discussed using that for storage with the park and rec.
And those were discussions, of course, that was when I brought up
At
the
least,
agreement.
then it was discussed here also, but.
Well, I thought when we talked about getting the hole in there, that was like a sign that we were gonna do something with them. I know Twin Valley Little League, they would like the restrooms, so.
We discussed having them bring porta potties in, we convert that room over and put beds in it and use it for storage.
That's what I
That's
thought
what
we
was
discussed.
discussed.
I don't know that it would ever I don't know that anything ever.
Was voted on.
Right.
So I think we were waiting for the mold, and then we were gonna determine whether we just use it as storage or.
That's been done. The
Okay,
mold,
so
the
the
mold
mold's done.
remediation is complete. We have a broken toilet, some cleaning, and we could open them if
So,
you want.
at the last Park and Rec meeting, what did you
We
guys?
didn't talk about it again until last meeting.
Okay. The one you put in before, turn that into storage?
Yeah,
Yes.
I believe it's usually in the minutes.
Okay, so, does anybody here have a preference of whether we have a bathroom or storage and have them bring their porta potties in for games?
What's the Little League run? 2.5 months?
Right. And then you have this bathroom sitting there.
Thousands of dollars every year for it.
$28 a year.
Well, can we reach out to them and see if they're willing to put the money into the bathroom?
Can we reach out to them
To see if they're willing to put the money out for the bathroom?
for the toilet?
Yeah. Or for the bathroom?
That's up to you guys. I'm really asking you what you wanna do. I do know that
It's either gonna be storage or they.
I personally, I'd rather see it storage for Parks and Rec.
you're
Well, the only
gonna
thing I
have,
see is that Twin Valley Little League is definitely a thriving organization, I should say, more so than MAA. And if they are hooking up with MAA and this turns into something, you know, the bathrooms might be needed more than a storage room, so that's all I'm looking at.
those bathrooms were retrofitted and converted with grant money. I said that at the last meeting. There was, some kind of correspondence with Joan about that grant after that meeting. All I urge is you to tread cautiously, but it doesn't matter to me. It's entirely up to you, the board and the Parks and Rec, the supervisors. I'm asking whether I should get a toilet put in there tomorrow and get it cleaned and opened, or
Well, see,
whether
it's
you're
right
waiting.
now, so I would worry about it now.
And when we talked about it at Park and Rec, we did not realize the grant situation, so we didn't know.
Okay, so how
What
about
that
this
meant,
time,
what that meant to everybody.
we let Park and Rec take this back, we'll investigate the grant, And they'll make a decision.
Who investigates that and gives us that information?
Well, do you have the grant information?
Contacted, basically they're saying if grant money was used, if anyone discovers or complains, I mean, you know, it would take a complaint to state that that was a bathroom, grant money was used for that, why isn't it used as a bathroom anymore? That's what would happen.
So when you get a grant, you have for, it has to remain what it is in perpetuity?
The kind of grant that they got, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't have a choice.
So that has to remain a bathroom. So ask
Yeah,
them
so-
if they're about it.
Yeah, so
Ask
next
them
year,
if they're willing to pay for the.
next year we'll.
Maybe we'll do it in the main, I mean, the other people.
Upkeep. See if they'd be willing to at least contribute to the maintenance of that bathroom.
Keith, can you order paper towels and toilet paper and stuff and put it, if we gotta take it out of the Caernarvon County will? And what are you using for cleaning supplies? Cleaning supplies, what are
There's
you
some
using?
stuff over there, I can get some more.
Can you get some more, so I make sure that they stay clean,
And they're-
especially ones in the park?
COVID approved sanitizer over there and a sprayer.
Okay. And, black trash bags, we still have some in the hot dog stand?
Liners.
Liners.
And there's a case and a half, where you think that'll leave you?
I think that should be fine, don't you think, Frank?
If it's not, I'll holler.
Okay.
Or Raymond Ray can reuse it.
Anything else, Keith?
No, that's it.
Okay, SEO report. Library. Monthly report and event invitation for June 26th. At 2 p.m. and what is it? Is it open to everyone, or is it just for the supervisors?
I think that it's to the township officials primarily, they're gonna have
Okay.
like refreshments, but it's all to promote their colorblind glasses program.
Okay. All right. And tax collector report. Police department. Their April report, May. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, the, body cameras are installed today, so they're in use. Eric's policy they made adjustments to has some problems with it, with the amount of retention days. There's a couple of things, but that I'll send to Eric, check it, but you can have it here as 120 days, and everything has to be purged, where, we want the, 1 year. So, that's what the server actually accommodates that we have, so, I just want to change that. So I don't know what's happening after that.
Well, were we shooting from the hip
It's
when we made that up anyway?
Was that?
I said, weren't we shooting from the hip when we made that up anyway?
Yeah, I mean, the general course policies need to be updated. Last month when it was adopted, you realized.
I think you guys, the Burke's, DA office policy, we need to change to,
Well, I think we knew that we were gonna have to make some tweaks to it, though.
Yeah, and there's a couple punctuation things, and then there's,
So just send us-
subsection F needs to change, but I can send that to everyone or just to Eric. I don't think it's anything crazy, John. I mean, because the people, the officers are starting to wear these now, so I mean, I'd like to get this changed as soon as possible.
Why don't you send it to everybody? And if it's acceptable to everybody, you can be on the agenda next meeting.
Alright.
Can you see to the new chief gets a copy of that?
No.
Zoning code enforcement, is that it then?
Yeah.
Zoning code enforcement. Anything else? EMS report, no report, fire department, park and recreation, May request list.
Before live was, he'll dress it up again for the court. Well, in reference to the clearances, I see here under C that they asked for, affidavits from the FBI Commissioner Frank Cole. Randy. Is that taken care of?
I sent them an email.
Okay. Keith, you found the Clyde Smith signs?
The Clyde Smith sign?
Yeah, the Clyde Smith, the field sign that was broken there by the state?
Yes.
Okay, Colt and I pulled that out, put it behind the end bridge there.
And I am awaiting somebody to tell me that we want another one, similar to the Birdie Park one.
I think we probably put another one there, we probably mount it right on the fence though, what do you think?
Well, yeah, I agree wholeheartedly, a relocation project is in order here, but I'm waiting for somebody to tell me that they want another one.
How about we refer back to Park and Rec, and maybe they can come up with something. We have nothing with park rules on that side of the park. Maybe it would be something to do something universal with the Clyde Smith plus park rules, because people do it in that way.
Combine it.
We definitely need to improve the posting of the park rules. So if we did the two of them together, I'm sure it would really be a good thing.
I think something needs to be done at the pavilion though, because people drive in, they don't see it over at the playground if they're going in to use the park itself.
Right.
So,
I think it, like, I think I mentioned at one time there was one there, and I'm not sure where it was at. No problem.
I don't remember there being one at the pavilion.
Just to the right on the opening of the fence. It used to be, yeah.
So request a key to social hall, or the door lock we put on the door.
The reason being is we can't get to.
You
Yeah, we
can't get through
can't get
this.
in the room.
So if they get a key to this, then.
No, can't get into
No,
that.
but they can't get in here, is what they're saying.
Right, we can't get in here to
But
get
if they get a
there.
key to this, then it opens up all the other doors. So we're gonna have to see about getting fob putting on here. Or
You
it's
don't
a
wanna,
key.
you don't wanna follow.
No, well, then we're gonna have to rekey this to its own
Yeah,
key.
yes, and that list continues to grow, and about time I call to schedule that, somebody else slips in and there's another request, and then we're
Okay.
back to working that master key list.
So if you can get through this door, you have the key for that door.
We have the key for the one inside. I don't think there's a lock here, but the one inside we have, yeah.
Okay, so you can get to it
That's
then.
locked, isn't it?
And that was not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the next door key, yeah.
I have to get the key master list out and see which one she has, and see where we can move on.
Yeah, the only one I have is to the actual storage room.
Yeah, but you're missing, I have a key list and I got AA 1 through 50. And if you got AA 6, I can get you an AA 5, may get you both of those doors.
Okay.
And I have to look and see what you have and which one, or whether I gotta change that lock system.
Okay. Did anyone else have any other questions? Okay.
Well, underneath Parks and Rec, underneath, number 4, request for reimbursement for logo. What we've done with Parks and Rec is we actually, come up with a logo for the front of the stage. So it's our township logo, it's nothing special, it's exactly what's on the side of the township trucks and everything. So what we have done is, Frank is a machinist, so he had made some, trying to find a picture of it to show everybody here. That is a copy of the logo that's gonna be 4 foot in diameter that will go on the front of the stage. So what it is behind the 4 foot emblem is actually a round circle that's spaced out about an inch, with there's gonna be lights behind it. So it'll match our logo, the black, white, and red.
Can we put that in the lattice
work at a discounted price, so that the bill that's in there is, actually, he paid for it out of his pocket, it's reimbursement for him. My father also donated a lot of stuff, a lot of his time.
I have a picture of the finish drum here.
If anybody wants to see it, but, somewhere between now and the carnival, we're gonna try to mount it up there, so. The other thing we did is, Friday night of the fireworks, we're gonna also do, a recognition plaque that we got made up. And, that's gonna have everybody that donated for the stage. I mean, it started back in 2018, we let it go too long, so we wanna acknowledge those people with a certificate and their permanent name on the stage. And we come up with a plastic, like, poly thing that's engraved, so we're gonna mount that on the side of the stage so everybody can see. We're gonna recognize them the night of the fireworks.
And then board up the announcers box at Clyde Smith Field.
I did that.
You did that.
It's been done.
All right, anything else?
The one you get approved from there, it's 200, what is it? What is it, Frank?
I don't know, I gave the bill to Joan, didn't I?
Yes.
230 or 240 or something.
Yeah.
$240.
I'll make that motion.
Jeff?
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so draft ordinance. Right, so minimum of 5 members. Section 6, officers and procedures, the Park and Recreation shall appoint from its membership a chairman and vice chairman. Anyone have a problem with updating that?
I was just mimicking what we currently have.
I'll make it.
We have a motion, second. All those in favor? Aye.
What do you vote
They wanna update section 2 of the membership, where it would consist of a minimum of 5 members.
Because it said 5, and I think we used to have 7. And that's why we said a minimum of 5.
Well, it should be a finite number, it's gotta be, I think, under the statute, 5, 7, or 9. So that's why it says 5 members, if you wanna go to 7.
They wanna go to 5.
5.
Sorry about
Good number.
And then in section 6, officers and procedures, the Park and Recreation Board shall appoint from its membership a chair, common vice chair.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So you're voting to amend the revised proposed ordinance,
Yeah.
the ordinance still needs to be advertised before you can actually vote.
That's what we said.
Gotcha. So do you want the ordinance as revised not to be advertised, so that you can vote on it your next meeting?
Yes.
Yes, discuss it.
May minutes.
Sandy, a
Yeah.
quick question for you, sorry. So there's a resolution about clearances, and the clearances that are described in this doesn't match that resolution, so I don't know how that would work. Maybe Eric can help us. This one just requires the child line clearance. Parks and Rec resolution requires the state background and the child line. So I don't know if the board wants to reevaluate it.
They should match, right?
I'm looking to see if the resolution is here. You have. Right.
I don't have the resolution in the packet here.
You have one there, then?
No, I can email it to you. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, if that's a concern, then why don't we get the resolution and try to reconcile it at
Okay.
the next meeting?
Okay, thank you.
And then we have our May minutes for Park and Rec. Request for reimbursement logo, we just did that Clyde Smith restroom update, so planning commission meeting, minutes. Water sewer reports. Water authority minutes, sewer authority minutes. Unprovided. Engineers report.
We touched on most of it. Sunoco, I talked with George there earlier in May, clarified a couple things, and then we realized we sent some contractors out to try to put some estimates together, and we painted some stuff.
conversations between you and myself about this being the last straw, trying to get Paul Stolz to resign. And you do not remember. Now, you tell my son I'm a liar.
Why would I want him to resign?
You didn't want Paul Stolz to resign.
No.
Why did he resign? Why is he coming back?
You would have to ask him that.
Why didn't the Caernarvon Township Chief of Police get the job? Who was hiring?
All of us hired.
Okay, why is he going like he doesn't know who is in charge of that? Can you tell me what?
Jack and I were in charge,
Okay,
and
well,
then we brought the finalists in. We made a decision, we went through a procedure, and this is how we came up with who got picked.
Who made the decision? My son is a resident of the township, even though he's stationed in North Carolina. He wants to know who made the decision.
All of us made the
We all
decision.
All five of you, and you're shrugging your shoulders, Alan, like you
So
don't know.
what's your next question? All of us made the
Okay.
decision.
My next question is, why are you sitting there lying to my son and my husband that those phone conversations never took place when we sat in our house and everybody was involved?
You called me a few times.
No, you called me.
Not at all.
Yeah, I was told to call you. Someone told me, one of the police officers told me to call you, and you are the one that wanted Paul Stolz to resign.
That is not true. But
Okay.
anyway.
Liar, call me a liar.
Yes.
For the record,
That's what Italian.
Patty,
Yes.
Patty,
Patty.
I need her attention, for the record. Why would you say something about Caernarvon Township, someone applying from there? You need to state something that you know that is true. If this is being recorded.
Okay, was it,
You heard
okay,
somebody's career.
we were at a function last night, and the
Caernarvon
township
Township,
supervisor.
if someone gets, if they catch that on video, and that's false.
Okay, I don't remember which township it was, but I do know it was a chief of
You
police.
need to be careful what you say.
Okay. Well, I'm being careful now, and Alan isn't, because he is lying.
I make that motion.
I have a question.
All those in favor?
What happened about like my property land is washed up and you didn't guys say anything, we are waiting 2 hours today. Like red carpet for the town, and behind like still
Which township
grass growing, nobody gonna cut, and my all land washed up, one day my building also washed up.
As well.
1 year, almost 1 year. No, nothing happened. See, when I have to pay taxes, I'm gonna pay 1 day less. 1 day late, then you're gonna charge me penalty. What happened?
They don't know yet?
Nobody tell me anything, what's going on?
They got a letter, Terry sent a letter to Turnpike on May 7th, reminding them that what is required has been cut June 1st and September 1st. And they're responsible to maintain that. They haven't, I'm assuming.
They have not cut yet.
So
So
bidding
they'll-
on the next step.
They, the
What else
next
do you
will
do?
be,
You each have a warning or fine or fine or what?
the first one was the warning, the next one will be the notice of violation. After that, it's citation.
And how about my land washed up everything? Behind the townhouse, water.
I mean, have you considered suing them? I mean,
I don't know,
we're
almost
sending the letters out at the last
1
meeting,
year,
you're at, we
1 year,
advised you what we
almost
were
1
doing.
year, you know?
Yep. I mean, we can't go out there, I can't go out there and just know it, they have a responsibility, we're following up with this. The next, they're gonna get citations.
Probably 1 day whole my land washed, my building washed up, then you're gonna decide like decision something?
No, we're following the
We
protocol,
we
we're
are
sending out the
taking-
letters, we're taking
following
action.
procedures is what we can do, step by step, to make them correct the problem. We are, they, actually, Great Valley has handed out letters stating exactly what they need to do and when. And this month is when they were supposed to do it, and they didn't follow through, that was correct. So, as of this month, they are gonna get now another notice of violation.
And we discuss, everybody's
comments from the assembly, that's when you're supposed to bring your information up.
Okay, that's it, next time.
Okay? And then we can discuss it.
But this is ongoing, it is never stopped.
Yeah,
Never stop, right?
right, we keep sending it.
How long I have to wait, like 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, maybe I sell this property, then problem solved?
No.
We're sending it out, we sent the letters, the citations go out.
Maybe okay, I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna go next meeting also.
Okay.
Thank you.
I said half an hour, I said that.